Call down the reckoning, bring back hope and peace, restore our gloria to live forever. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime, I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Welcome everyone to the ZGG Platinum League Week 8 matchup between Leviathan and Elysium Rush. I am Tiger here with TDS, and this is going to be a top of the ladder matchup, TDS.
It's between two top teams that are not fighting to qualify, but are certainly fighting to be the best standing team. And that's going to maybe not leave a mark right now, but that can mean a lot going into playoffs and should be a pretty exciting match. Like, if it doesn't go to 3 games, I want someone banned from these two teams. I don't care who, maybe the manager, but someone needs to be banned.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting right on into the draft for game number 1, though. Leviathan gonna be on the blue side here, and we're getting right through these bans. A lot of focus towards the bot lanes here. It looks like that Misfortune, definitely a power pick. Interested to see it as a blue side ban instead of red side, though.
It's not normal to see it on the blue side, but it goes to show that you maybe either have other priorities or you value other AD carries over the Misfortune, or you simply cannot play it. So it has to be one of those options. I think it's fine to ban it away if you're not comfortable enough, because that champion can really define games in the current meta, so it makes perfect sense to see it banned away. Diana, though, not a typical first pick champion. I was expecting something more along the lines of maybe Hecarim or Udyr, which are more of the meta prevalent picks, but Diana can still find value as long as she's played accordingly, and if you're comfortable on her, she can be quite a strong champion. But this Poppy, I love the answer immediately.
Yeah, immediately going to be shutting down some of the engage options, but I think Diana as a pick does open up a lot of opportunities as far as team comp. You can go for stuff like pick, you can go for a Yasuo comp, you can even use Diana pretty effectively in team fights, and with the flexibility between mid and jungle. I don't mind that as a first pick, even though it's not meta, if that's something that the team favors.
100%. See, there's always the argument of comfort over just the stronger picks, right? And if you're comfortable enough to play something that is not completely out of the meta, I think that it's perfectly fine to pick it here. The Diana, I think a pretty good answer as well. The Kai'Sa here, it's an interesting one, but if they pair it up with something that can begin being aggressive early on in the lane, something like an Nautilus, like a Leona, like an Alistar, I can see this not necessarily being bad. I also was able to see recently Yumi Kai'Sa pairing where you just max I think it was QW to give the extra 80 to the Kai'Sa, and she can actually hit quite greatly. So it wouldn't be bad to see that coming through. But the Azir pick, I think here being the safe option, right? You have something to fall back to in case the game goes wrong early on. You have this pick that can come back later on in the game.
Yeah, with the double AP now showing in the mid jungle duo, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Galio come up here in potentially the second half of the draft. I like the Poppy being held as a flex here, potentially between jungle and top as well. The Renata Ashe lane is going to be a pretty formidable in the bot lane. I think that with Kai'Sa, I don't see anything that you pair up with the Kai'Sa that's going to help you win that lane. So I'm hoping that we'll see something more scaling focused in the support role for the set.
Could be the option here. I'm not sure if you said, but that actually is not a bad option as well. Thinking about the Kai'Sa set as in the support position could be something to look into. He also did get some buffs, so I wouldn't be mad with that in mind. But so far, I'm really liking Elysium's comp. They have the long-ranging form of engage with the Ashe. They have Poppy to follow up. The steadfast presence can be really good to deny engage from Sun. And then they also have the hammer to try and stop people from going into objectives and things like that. So overall, the control that they have drafted for themselves, so far I really like it. I think they need an extra bit of damage from someone else. Maybe if they can get a Fiora in the top lane or a Jax in the top lane, I think that they can round this comp a little bit better in terms of damage. But so far, I think that they have a pretty good idea. Well, they banned the Jax themselves, so maybe not.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're specifically banning out top laners to protect maybe something like that Fiora that you're saying. Or maybe another type of top lane pick like a Kale or something if they think that they want to get some extra scaling there. I think that they're going to pick mid lane here most likely since the Azir already shows and you can still hold that Poppy as a flex. And I feel like throughout this draft we're seeing the value of Poppy just rising and rising with the more champs that get locked in.
100%. Like Poppy just fits so well right now in the game. They went for more the Kaiser. That's surprising to say the least. But just quickly to finish on the Poppy thing, the Poppy is so good because it feels like every champion in the game and their mothers have a dash. So the fact that she can deny anyone from running away with a dash or something like that is so big. And I think that that's why teams begin having so much priority with the Poppy. It makes complete sense. The Rel pick here, though, pretty interesting. I won't say it's necessarily bad. I don't think it's a good champion as of now. But the idea that to go with the Kai'Sa, I think that fits well enough. We wanted someone to go in and fight with the Kai'Sa early on. I think that Rel, in that regard, fits quite nicely. That is unexpected, and I love it.
Yeah, Zed coming in here as the last pick, gonna have a lot of easy targets to assassinate, really 4 squishies on the enemy team, so picking that Zed up here, a really spicy pick, and Elysium gonna have to prove it that it can work, but I definitely like the confidence we're seeing here.
It has to be a confidence-based pick. You have to be sure that you're going to perform because Zed is such a feast or famine champion right now, especially in mid lane. I feel like in jungle you have a little bit more leeway because you're not the main carry of the team, right? Like you're someone else that will come to do damage. In here, it's Ashe, Mordekaiser, and Zed. The Zed has to do well enough early on so that he can carry for the rest of the teammates until a certain point in the game. If not, it's going to be such a harsh game for the set of Elysium, but I'm excited to see this set perform.
Yeah, obviously with the Zed coming in there at the end, it's hard to focus on anything else. But I'm looking at these team comps, and I'm thinking to myself that Rel Diana actually looks like a really high synergy duo. I haven't seen much of that combination ever before. Usually Rel with like a Hecarim or something is what I would expect, but I think that with the ults overlapping, that can make a lot of sense, and with the help from the Gangplank doing a ton of AoE as well, that could end up being a late game bomb that's just waiting to go off.
Yep. And I feel like you touched on the right part. The combo is pretty good, but I feel like particularly the gangplank part, because having the ultimate to slow as well just makes it easier to connect those two big ultimates into just a big circle and be able to get as much damage as possible. Sun has to be careful of the Renata though, because the hostile takeover really can make or break a fight. If you hit two important targets or three important targets, cancel their ultis, and then be able to separate a fight, that can be huge. But if Sun can get the wombo down for themselves, it can just set up for a team fight that they can win really easily, and their champions feel like they are set up perfectly for that.
Yeah, looking at the different lanes, do you think that there's any winning lanes here for Sun? It could be concerning if they just get pushed in all three lanes.
So I feel like top may be the one that sticks out to me the most. Gangplank doesn't necessarily have the worst of matchups against Mordekaiser, and he can even push the issue sometimes thanks to Barret reset, passive reset, and then the oranges being able to mitigate some of the damage as well. Can end up working out in favor of the Gangplank. Bot lane, I think it's a pretty big coin toss, because if we see early on Kaisarel being able to blow a flash of the Renata, flash of the Ashe, we may see a repetition coming in from there, and then it's pretty easy to try and make a play happen down there. They are two squishy champions, so they can be killed, and Ashe doesn't have a lot of ability, neither does Renata. So I think that if they can get the better side of the coin toss, Kaisarel may end up having the favor in that lane. And then mid lane, it's a survival game. Azir can push the wave and have control in that regard, but one misstep can end up being honestly just a death. So he has to be really careful about how he opts into the lane.
Well, definitely some spicy drafts here. Going into game number 1, who do you think may be going to come out on top of this specific game, TDS?
So I like Sun's comp better because it feels like it has more outs when thinking about if something goes completely wrong in the game. Like they have pieces that can try and turn around the game, or at least have pieces that can salvage a game in case it goes completely wrong. Elysium is much more dependent on trying to get the game going for them early on, but this is also the kind of style that I think a lot of teams like. If they have the onus on doing the plays, they'd rather have this kind of comp. I would say Sun, but I can see why Elysium picks it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I would go with Elysium here in game number 1. I think that they've got a little bit easier to execute comp, and they're going to have a lot of opportunity in the early game to really flex their muscles. I'm looking to see if we're going to get some good information out of the Hawk shots. Always an interesting thing to see at the different levels of play. Platinum, I would expect to at least get some information, and with a top team especially, that being the case. But yeah, both sides, I think we're saying, gonna have some opportunities here. So I think we're gonna go into a quick break, and on the other side we'll have game number 1 of this week 8 matchup between Sun Leviathan and Elysium Rush. Welcome onto the Rift for game number 1 of this ZGG Platinum Week 8 matchup between Sept Leviathan and Elysium Rush. I'm Tiger here with TDS, and should be a good one here, TDS.
Welcome to Summoner's
It should
Rift.
be. I'm expecting a lot of kills. Actually, I see just one ignite. I'm disappointed in the bot lanes. No, Rel has another one. Okay,
30
game
seconds
saved.
until minions spawn.
Yeah, and looking at those uh, summoner spells, we got the cleanse on the Kaisa, gonna try to escape from that hostile takeover, make sure not to get picked off and then end up killing the rest of the team. Also got the double teleports in the solo lanes for Sept, and got the ignite here on the Zed, so we'll see if Book of Eli can get any solo kills in the lane.
And to a certain degree, it's how you have to try and approach it. You cannot go with set thinking about the playing with a teleport because it's pretty hard for you to actually not only find value but to get the best out of your champion early on. I really like this lane bait that they are trying to pull off. Taking the vision off, I was expecting a little bit more aggressiveness, but it's not a bad decision, especially early on. A champion like Mordekaiser can take advantage of these level 1 skirmishes, so it would have been pretty interesting to see it coming if they opted into that.
Yeah, we'll see if we got any action here in the bot lane. Had a little bit of a deep brush trying to set up a play. Not going to be anything though. And going to be a little bit more quiet there. I wouldn't expect a lot of fighting here in this bot lane because you're more so looking for picks if you're Elysium's bot lane, and you don't really have the power to fight, in my opinion, if you are the bot lane of Sept until you've got those level 6s.
You really have to wait quite a bit till you can really find the value. I can see them being much more push reliant, pushing the lane as hard as they can, then trying to move out if the puppy is close by and try and get something done with their jungler. I feel like that is a better modus operandum for this bot lane because they really don't shouldn't have that much kill pressure, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, do you think we'll see much in the way of early ganks here? I don't think Diana's a great gank champion, but Poppy kind of is, so maybe Reggie gonna get into one of the lanes?
Diana opting into the full clear, or at least going for the full clear topside into a much quicker clear down here, makes me think that it's not going to be the case. Look at Poppy, for example, in the jungle. She's already going for the Scuttle Crab into the river to potentially set up a gang. So I'm expecting Poppy to at least be much more aggressive in that regard, and Diana wanting to get that level 6 as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're maybe looking at a wraparound gank through the tri-brush here in the bot lane. We'll see if Reggie's able to set it up. They've got the pincer, and I don't think that there's going to be an answer. Spy's going to try to show up, but it's going to be a Macro Beast with a good cleanse. Going to try to be able to get out, flash down.
Macro's dead.
Like to go over to create team, but here's the re-engage. Spy's going to go in. You're going to be able to pick up one. Level 4 already on the Diana. Going to be able to pick up a big shield. It's a double kill. It's a Lunar Rush. It's a triple kill for Spies, and the counter gank works out perfectly for Sun.
So don't get me wrong, it's a really good play. But when your jungler is coming into the lane with less than 50% HP, trying to salvage the situation, I honestly thought that it was going to be disaster for Sun. It turns out into a really great play, instantaneous flash. I really like that it was instantaneous flash to kill the Poppy and then waiting for the cooldowns. Playing with the vision as well because was on the push, was able to save a little bit of damage thanks to playing into the bush with the CC from the rail, and everything works out marvelously for the side of Sun. Yes, Kaisa died, but who cares? Your jungler gets 3 kills.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I think that the blasting one's going to make any future ganks a lot more potent for Spies, because now you don't even need all that much setup. You can just go in, and if you've got like a half health Zed, for example, with no dash, then that's a threat of just being able to dash on him and kill him straight up with your damage.
And also thinking about it in terms of how the jungle matchup is going with CS and all that, Poppy took a risk with going into that gank because she wasn't full clearing. The Diana was. So not only does the Diana gets the 3 kills, plus the opportunity to now have a much more open window to try and look for things, she has the advantage on the Poppy And Poppy now is forced to try and look for weird angles like she's doing right now in the bot side, because if not, there's nothing that she can really do to compete with the Diana. But here it
Oh,
comes.
Reggie gonna look for the regank. There's no sums
Great
available.
flash.
This is gonna turn out well. Macro Beast dropping very low. Sure to fall. Heal goes through, but Creatine picks up the kill. Think Cowrie should be fine, but that's gonna be one kill going over. We'll see if Spies wants to look for anything on the re-engage. Gonna potentially find some action in the tri-brush here. Gonna look for
Do
the
you actually
damage.
want this?
Gonna look for the stun. Cowrie going back in, but now the damage coming out. Creatine still full health. Going to drop very low, but not going to fall, and it's just the 1-for-0 this time in favor of Elysium.
And Diana was lacking a little bit of levels in that play, because with level 6, that's pretty much a straight up kill and maybe something more onto the side of the Leviathan. Still, they are or onto the side of Elysium. Still, it's not the worst of losses for Sun, because it was on the Kaisa. Kaisa, it's still a champion that isn't necessarily in a good spot, so it's not like you're giving a huge amount of gold. But you also have to think about it with how the play was set up, and you have to blame Spice a little bit. Not fully, but a little bit, because the wave was in such a bad spot that you should have expected that kind of play happening. So the jungler has to hover over on that side. Yes, you're losing on your timing on the other side of the map, but I feel like that's the price you gotta pay to to stop your bot lane from dying like they did, or for them to not fall that far behind.
Yeah, I think it was really creative pathing from Reggie, though. I mean, we saw him come in through near the mid lane in the river and go all the way around, sit in a bush near the enemy base for a while, and then come up underneath from near where the Krug spawn. Now we're getting potential gank in the mid lane, all in coming through, the shuffle out, Kopek gonna flash away, Reggie not gonna be able to tag with the stun. So that means that Kopek should get out. And Spies here, I don't think was spotted, but going to be a re-engage from the bot lane. Now going to find Elysium. Now Creatine going to try to find damage onto Kopek. That's going to be enough to chase away Sun. And now trying to just auto Spies down to death. Has the Moonfall available, and that's going to be enough to dissuade any kills. But a nice roam up there from Elysium's bot lane.
And it's not only the roam, I really like this play overall, because if you look quickly to Mordekaiser, he stole the blue buff. It was thanks to the time that they bought with the Diana in the bot side. Mordekaiser moves in, steals the blue buff, and they are slowing down this Diana a little bit. Yes, she still has a 3 kill advantage, but being able to take away some sort of gold value from the Diana, I think it's a pretty smart decision making. It did mean that the Kaisa was going to return once again being a little bit stronger, but I feel like it's the small prices you have to pay to stop the ensuing issue that is happening right now, that is the Diana.
Yeah, absolutely. But with those level 6s starting to come through across the map, we saw that all-in attempt in the mid lane from Book of Eli, but other than that, I'm surprised that we're not getting anything closer to kills. You have to always consider that the cannon barrage is available for Malachor, and any sort of fight is going to get a lot of activity real quick from either side. Gotta keep the vision up, but with the first Drake having gone over, I think that right now the spot that Sun are in the game should feel pretty comfortable.
And they are not against biding time, right? Like Sun can just allow for the next 10 minutes to go completely idle, not really trying to achieve anything. As long as they don't lose anything massive, they would be fine, because their composition can scale. They have the Diana, they have the Seer, they have the Gangplank. So even if they don't go for plays, they are still going to be in a pretty comfortable spot.
With that in
Ouch.
mind, what does Elysium need to do to get things back on track and avoid getting outscaled before they have a chance to slam down some of their early advantages?
So I see two things that I would like from them to do. Either hard commit for this set to win the lane, so send resources heavily to the set, get a couple of kills onto the Seer, and allow for him to be a pretty big menace. If not, then just abandon mid lane, leave a Seer to its own devices, and look to move around with the set towards the side lanes. Try and threaten the other members in the map and get your Ashe ahead, your Mordekaiser ahead. Because I feel like if they don't really try to utilize the set in either of those positions, then it will become the champion becomes kind of useless to a certain degree, and it's not what you want to see with the set.
Yeah, kind of seeing a little bit of a handshake here across map. Cowrie moved up to help secure that Rift Herald, but on the bot lane, Creatine picking up a couple of the plates there. And if we look at the individual gold, well, we might not have a chance just yet. I think
Oh,
Otter's fine getting out of this one, though. But if we look at the individual gold, we'll see that it's a big lead, obviously, for Spies with those 3 kills. But the next highest gold in the game is Creatine. So if there is a hope for Elysium, I think it is in that bot lane, in that Ashe.
yeah, and honestly, having the Ashe be one of your main carry conditions is not a bad thing. They try to play with the mid lane. I respect that. They try to go for the mid lane play, not only stealing the spirits, but they also try to use the enchanted crystal arrow. Doesn't hit, but that's the kind of thing that I like to see. You have to go for this kind of creative plays.
Yeah, gotta look for some picks. They've got the pick tools, and they have some potential if they can get a fight in a choke as well, if they're able to set up a big hostile takeover. But right now they're in a situation where they have to go for those things, and that particular one wasn't able to connect. Got a Drake coming up here as well in about 30 seconds, so we'll see if there's a contest over it. It looks like both teams are rotating members towards it, but I don't know if we're going to see a big fight just yet.
I think a big fight is not a bad thing for the side of Sun. If they try to go for it, they have the level 6s. Okay, they wanted to go for it. They were trying to tempt it.
Yeah, clean handshake there by Ilelec. Gonna
Respect.
be able to disengage that one. But now we're seeing the Drake at least starting to take damage. I'm not sure if it's actually being started up, but it looks like we have both teams moving towards the pit. We'll see if there's going to be any.
Asir is alone.
Yeah, they're looking to try to find the pick here. It's a big CC chain, but not enough to kill off
Oh
Kopek.
no!
Spies very low, but now trying to go back in. Macro Beast now is the target. Now here comes the death mark. Nice cleanse, going to try to avoid damage, but not going to be enough. Reggie going to be able to pick that one up. It's 2 kills for Elysium, and they shall get the dragon as well.
That was a horrendous fight by the side of Sun. They get the pick onto the Seer, but I feel like that isn't the biggest issue. They missed both of their most crucial ultimates, both the Moonfall and the Rel ulti. Oh wait, okay, he's fine. Both the Ana ultimate and the Rel ultimate were completely misused in that fight. Also, Idolek got such a good ultimate, such a good hostile takeover to stop the engage and then be able to answer back. That was such a bad fight by the side of Sun. And you also have to take into account that there was no cannon barrage because of what happened offside.
Yeah, so giving a little bit of gold back over and stopping the Drake stack. That's going to be nice for Elysium, but the game state it hasn't changed all that much. Now Otter
Yeah.
could be in trouble, going to have to drop the
Ooh.
Death Realm pretty soon here. I think Spies is in it, but Spies is going to win that 1v1, going on a rampage, a great gank in the top lane. And now with that Rift Herald, they're going to look to take the entirety of that top tier 1 tower.
And thanks to the fact that they already took quite a bit of plates, they can certainly look for this. I'm glad that they were able to do it before the 14-minute mark was coming through, because look at this, they not only got the top lane turret fully, they also got a couple of plates down in the bot side. Pretty lacking play from the side of Elysium to not be able to answer accordingly to this play, and even though the dragon fight was horrendous, it didn't matter that much for the side of Sun, because they were able to answer with this kind of call.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that Rift Herald even got a second charge on that tier 2 tower, so that's going to feel really nice in the value department. That gold lead coming back up, and we're seeing that Nashor's Tooth completed. First item starting to come through on both sides. And I think that that's going to be the power spike potentially that Elysium need to fight on. Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to land in the
hits.
lane. Here comes the Death Mark, but the re-engage from Spy is going to at least save Kopek's life for the time being. Not able to force the kills onto this Zed just yet. Just 0-0-2. Looking for some more damage, but now Reggie may be in too deep. Gonna be stunned up for the time being. Looking for the hammer. Gonna be able to eject the enemy team and get out just fine.
Would have been hilarious if the camera doesn't actually push them away, but it's a pretty nice save from the puppy. They get the turret down in the bot lane as well, so they do collect some gold, and it doesn't turn out much worse for Elysium or for Sun either. But this top lane is becoming hard to manage by other. The Gangplank it's doing more and more damage by the minute.
Yeah, we could see it's an Essence Reaver plus a rated Dirt versus just the plated steel caps and a blasting one. That's not going to be much resistances against these barrel
Yeah,
chains. And I think that it's just going to get worse and worse as the game goes on. I think this first strike is getting a ton of value for Malachor.
would like to see how much gold has he gotten with that so far. Uh, quickly, 244. No, I think it was 300 something. No,
Let
yeah,
me
he
see if
got 220 gold. Okay.
doing pretty well for himself there. No, nothing to sneeze at. Second Rift Herald now on the map. Kopek gonna get tagged
Ooh.
by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, stunned into a wall, gonna try to flash away. Cannon Barrage gonna try to buy space, but Reggie hits him with the Hammer Shock. Malachor now looking to turn it with a potential counter kill. Flash forward from Spies, now looking to finish off Island like Moonfall
Ooh.
lands onto 2. Spies is unstoppable, and the re-engage once again turns the fight in favor of Sun Leviathan.
They committed quite a bit on the side of Elysium. It was looking like a pick that they were going to be able to pull off early on, but they not only didn't have the burst damage, they couldn't get away fast enough from that Gangplank ultimate. It was such a good cannon barrage to stop them long enough that the Diana can come through, the GP can come through, and yes, it was a flash by the Diana, if I'm not wrong, but it's still 2 kills for the value of 1, and that is going to turn into a Herald as well as potentially a Dragon as well.
It feels like every time that kills go over into Sept Leviathan, they're just able to get so much more off of the back of it. And they've got the top tier 1 tower pretty early on. They're able to pick up another Rift Herald. They picked up a dragon off of a fight. There was the one fight where Elysium were able to pick up a dragon, but it seems like in terms of just getting those neutral objective advantages, it's gone mostly in favor of Sun.
Feels like the case, like you're pointing out. This dragon seems to be almost uncontested. Gangplank has teleport now, so maybe they actually will force the fight.
Yeah,
Spies?
Otter can keep Spies out of the smite fight, though. Otter dropping pretty low at the beginning
Oh,
of
the
this
ulti
fight.
though!
A nice Emperor's Divide, but a shutdown going over to Creatine. Now Cowrie dropping pretty low as well. Otter in the back line going to try to find some kills before it gets turned around. Kopek going to be able to pick up one macro piece. Nice flash out of the recast of the
Good
hammer.
flash.
Cowrie very low, looking for the stuns. Macro piece hits the ADC's doing damage, but Malachor is here for a parlay, and it's been parlayed back in favor of Sept Leviathan. One more kill to be had. Looking for a barrel chain. Looking for the Void Seekers. Gonna come up a bit short, but maybe Malachor gonna try to chase down that last kill. It's a 4 for 3 in favor of Sun Leviathan.
It's a 4-for-3. It's such a chaotic fight. Everything happens there, and in reality, to me at least, it's such a Sun advantage. It's such a fight that seems much more advantageous to Sun the more I look at it, because it was a fight that didn't have Moonfall. It took them so much to win this fight on the side of Elysium. They were looking quite nice, but that was without Diana ultimate in the whole duration of it. So the fact that they were almost losing out on the fight and they couldn't really win it out just scares me for the future of this game. Because with Moonfall, that fight looks completely different.
Yeah, and now the second items are coming in. The Sunfire Cape on the Diana. That's been a scourge of solo queue for a while.
Oh,
Enchanted Crystal Arrow gonna tag Macro Beast, but unfortunately there's no follow-up on the 100 health 80 carry. And I think that we're starting to just see the gold advantage be a little bit overwhelming. 5,500 gold in favor of Sun Leviathan. So we'll see if this gets turned around at any point. But for now, they're doing a good job pushing the advantage.
ooh.
Maybe looking
They
for
should be in a
pick
pretty
here
tough spot.
to Gonna be able to get that Justice Hammer. Cowrie gonna be dropped very low, gonna get picked off. So 1 for 0. Elysium getting at least some gold back in the pockets right before this Baron spawns.
Kiori in a pretty bad spot trying to clean up vision without any help. When Brel uses the jump and cannot escape, that's when it's completely awful for them. Ooh, nice sidestep.
Yeah, and Otter not able to find a lot of value in this matchup. I don't think that there's any way that he would win either way. Macro Beast now gonna
Oh,
be
Macro
go. So
Beast.
Reggie gonna go in, exhaust lands, but a Moonfall onto 3 into the cannon barrage, and once again Spies is here. And it's the second mouse gets the cheese as Sun cleaning up yet another fight. 3 for 1, and they're going to be able to push towards this mid tier 2,
They even have
possibly even
Herald.
towards the inhib with that Rift Herald.
It really feels like that. Mordekaiser pushing on the bot side. It's just said to stop this kind of push, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pull it off.
It looked like they were about to get that tower before the Rift Herald could even charge. But yeah, I don't think Book of Eli can really contest here. We'll see if they can stop the Rift Herald. Alright, they won't get an inhib, but Elysium...
I like the respect.
Yeah, given the respect. Maybe
Oh.
looking for a pick on the back end here. I don't think that the follow-up is close enough in the area, though. So, no Baron, but 2 more towers going over to Sept.
And now an open inhibitor could be an opportunity to try and play with the Gangplank so that he pushes the mid wave. Meanwhile, the rest are doing something else, and that can threaten the inhibitor as well. It's the easiest inhibitor to protect, but it's also an inhibitor that you can get advantage with. Ooh,
Well, we're right
Reggie.
back on the warpath, but the Emperor's
Oh.
Pride pushing Reggie back. Not going to be enough to find the kill. Reggie gonna have to run away from that one, and the pick doesn't work out.
it doesn't work out. I like the attempt though. They are looking for these small opportunities that really can turn into something much more valuable. If they actually are able to get the gold from that play. But because it doesn't work out, it's a free pushing Kaisa that may end up dying here.
Yeah, a little bit far forward here, and the death mark gonna
Ouch.
claim the kill. Book of Eli starting
Mm.
to pick up some value. 3-1 and 3 on the Zed, but the question is if it's in time to get those kills stacked up.
I'm worried that it's a little bit too late. Even though Zed getting kills always looks kind of fine. Oh wait, Malakor.
Malachor should be fine. He may even turn this fight going to be put into the death realm, but Otter, can you win this 1v1? Gonna get hit by the barrel, gets a big shield, another barrel gonna come up. Will he win the barrel mini game? It looks like he comes out alive. The shutdown goes over to Reggie. I think that last barrel got popped by Otter, so good play in the Shadow Realm to survive that maneuver.
Yeah, sadly for Malakor, the misplay from the Gangplank using the oranges without anything connecting on a stun. So he wasn't stunned and he used it, thinking that he was stunned, ends up costing him his life. So that was a pretty close encounter, and I feel like if he played much more aggressively with his barrels, that could have turned better for him. It's such a close fight, and I don't think that that's a fight that will happen once again. Like, I don't think there's a second chance that in that 2v1, Malakor doesn't get a kill.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. 3-item gangplank. Now we got another fight. This one being started up by Sun, and not gonna be seeing any picks there. The keeper's verdict going to launch out Sun, and they may be looking for a re-engage though. And here comes the Lunar Rush. Spies trying to get to the back line, can't do it, and Book of Eli gonna try to turn the fight. Moonfall comes down, Otter's gonna fall. Now the stun goes down onto Creatine. They're gonna try to take out the carries, and they will do so. It's 3-0. Sun Leviathan. Now they can look to push towards the base.
They could even win the game, in all honesty. It's just two members, they're being pushed away. They have the minion wave. They are not going to play it off that aggressively, but they have the free space to go into the dragon and then even go for the baron.
Well, Book of Eli
Oh,
gonna try
ouch.
to blow up Macro Beast. Not gonna be in time though. And now they're trying to chase down that last kill, but also going to start up that Drake. At the very least, if you're Elysium, the Baron didn't get taken out during these death timers, but the third Drake going over means that the next one will be Mountain Soul if Sun Leviathan can pick it up.
At least Zed itemized smartly against the mountain soul in case it goes in their favor and has the serpent's fang, but against a combo like Lysium's that doesn't have that much damage because of how it works. Going against mountain soul may be one of the worst things that could happen to them, but they still have hope. I think that they have opportunities, small windows of opportunity, but they have it. They just need to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard though. They're up against, an 8-1-5 Diana that's going to be nearly impossible to shut down since the Spies has that Sunfire Cape and the Zonias. And the 10 stack Death Dark Seal should be turned into a Magi's here pretty soon, I think. Now we're going to see the Baron started up. Teleports coming in both sides. This should be a big fight. But can it get bursted down? Azir damage so high. Going to be taken out. Son Leviathan picking up. But here comes the turn. Reggie going to try to find the stun on the Spies. Kopek going into the Zonias. And Macro Beast Killer Instincting into the back line.
Kopek!
So far, Reggie dropping low. Otter dropping low.
With Macro Beast?
Pick up that kill, and Malachor is cleaning house. It's a 5-for-2 in favor of Sun Leviathan, and with the Baron, they can push to end.
I really thought that Macrobase was going to die there, but Malachor really comes in to clean up the fight. Really like the Gangplank all game, apart from maybe that one misplay down in the bot side where he could have taken a kill. He has been playing so consistently well so far, and I don't think that it's going to be game because of how the side of Sun is trying to play this out with where their priorities are, but they are putting almost a nail in the coffin. It feels like it's really close for it to be done.
Yeah, Spy's almost solo taking out the entire base. I have to question the decision making not to just end, but they should be getting
Yeah.
a ton of advantage out of it either way. Even without the end, they'll still have the Baron for the next little while. They'll have an opportunity in a few minutes to take the Mountain Soul, and it's just one Nexus Tower, I should say, still up. So that's going to be a pretty tough defense to mount here for Elysium.
It's going to be tough, but it's something that they have to be able to pull off because if not, that's game one being in the books for them. And their composition, even we talked about how much they needed to get those early leads, they couldn't, but they still have resources to try and get at least some picks. And it's not like they cannot kill something like the Kaisa or the Azir, even though Azir has Sanjas. But those are the two targets that I think they should prioritize to kill.
Yeah, it's so hard though when the Kaisa and Azir aren't really the ones that are putting out all of the burst damage. I mean, if you can't take out Diana,
True.
you can't take out Gangplank, it's going to be a really tough road to hoe. I think that it's looking pretty grim here for Elysium. They kind of need a miracle to happen, and certainly they need at least a throw at this point.
I would say at least a couple of those, if I'm honest. I don't think one is 100% enough to be able. Gangplank also has 4 items, but like you were pointing out, Gangplank and the Diana have both 4 items. You can even count 5 for the Diana because of the Dark Ring, so Dark Seal. So it feels like they have enough damage just by themselves, like you were pointing out, to really close out this game. Man, like the outs are so small.
Well, here comes the
Ooh,
engage. Immediate
Macro
flex
Beast.
from Macro Beast. Now Moonfall only going to connect onto 2. Big damage coming down either way. Those Zonias for Spies. Macro Beast going to be able to go on a rampage. And now it's 4v5 in the base. Malachor just taking kills across map and into the base, are streaming the minions. Few more kills gonna go down, and this is gonna
That's
do it.
it.
On Leviathan picking up game number 1. Reggie, the last man standing here for Elysium Rush. But Sun Leviathan with a very clean game number 1.
Really nicely played. They played it up according to what most of the expectation was with their comp. They didn't need to rush it. They had a lot of kills, a lot of action, but they didn't need to rush it. And by the time they were really, really strong, they were able to take the game really comfortably, in my opinion. You have to ask yourself, if that bot lane play doesn't give those 3 kills to the Diana early on, how the game could have looked for Elysium, right? But it's not the word we're living in.
Yeah, definitely good job that whole game from Spies of tracking where Reggie was and finding big counter ganks. I think that's what really set up that victory, but a team win to be sure. And going into game number 2, now I'd say that Sun Leviathan have a big advantage in this series.
feels the case. Like they have not only the confidence, but they play in such a dominant fashion in a lot of those situations. Even when they lost a big team fight, like they were still dominant enough to have a gold lead and utilize that gold lead to get even more gold. So it feels kind of hard for Elysium. But I think that with how weird this comp was, if they opted for something much more traditional or something much more normal, to say the least, I think that they maybe can find better angles to win this game.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if they opt that direction once we get to the draft for game number 2. But before that, we're going to go into a short break, so we'll see you on the other side.
I think Tiger is. Oh no. Okay, so Tiger is with some complications, but I'm still here. I'm TDS. Hopefully, Tiger gets back soon enough. But draft is starting, and we need to see what everyone is banning away. It's same
Welcome
sides
back,
for both
everyone, to
teams.
ZGG.
Oh, is he back?
Am I back?
Tiger. Okay, perfect. Yeah, he's back.
All right, good deal.
Woo.
Apologies for technical difficulties, but we're not gonna see Diana this game.
True. It's not only Tiger that went away for a little bit. Diana does go away completely. She's bad from this game. But Lydia, the hover and the pick as well. I'm excited to see Lydia, another good AP jungler that you can play. Similar to Diana in the sense of how you want to try and play her up, but I think a bit more farm focused, even more so than Diana. So it's going to be a pretty exciting match to see this Lydia execute and how Sun play around this Lydia.
Yeah, and I think that Lilia, a pretty similar style champion to Diana, but definitely has the difference of not being able to just pull the trigger and engage on a dime in the same manner that Diana can. So that's going to have to be a consideration. But I think that the major differences that we should see in this draft are going to be on the side of Elysium, and they're already locking in one with the Shyvana.
The Shyvana getting picked here, pretty interesting option. Can be flex between top and jungle, so it's not yet sure where she's going, but it's going to be pretty interesting seeing how the Shyvana played as well. Cillian, another potential flex. I would love to see it support because I feel like in the mid lane you would want to have a little bit more pressure in terms of damage, but I'm fine if it goes into the jungle, into the mid lane position. And I think that Cillian Shyvana is one synergy that not a lot of people played consistently or have experimented on a lot, but I think that having that safety net as the Shyvana of reviving if you go way too far forward is always great to play with in Nautilus.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see whether it's going to be an AP Shyvana or if it's going
True.
to be the Bruiser variety. I would think that if it's the Zillion support, that gives a lot more flexibility to go towards that AP variety. But if they go with the Zillion mid, then you're kind of pigeonholing yourself into having that Bruiser variety Shyvana. I think the Bruiser variety probably better either way. But it's going to be Caitlyn Nautilus here for Sun Leviathan, a very strong bot lane.
The Caitlyn here, one of the champions that has been popping up quite a lot recently. She got such a consistent line of buffs that has made her be much more prevalent in the meta. And I think that I was surprised we didn't see her in the previous game, but I think right now the Caitlyn can be quite strong, especially against the squishy champions. With the Nautilus, you can get so good of a setup with her. And Asir, taking away from Sun, we saw how well it was played in the previous game. Makes sense that it was either taken away or banned, but it isn't banned, it's taken away.
Yeah, I think so. That's pushing the Zillion to support. I think that last game Caitlyn wasn't picked because Ashe was first rotation ADC from Elysium, and I think that Caitlyn into Ashe is definitely a matchup where a lot of AD carries would rather be the Ashe. But with the Ashe being banned out this time around, makes a lot of sense to see the Caitlyn. And I'd like to see maybe the Kai'Sa going over to Elysium this time. I think that Kai'Sa plus Zillion would be pretty decent. Any sort of hyper carry like a Twitch as well.
Twitch would be fun.
Table. But they should be looking to do something where they can do a lot of damage to objectives, I think, because they're going to want to stack these Drakes for the Shyvana passive.
The Drakes become much more important with the Shyvana, like you're pointing out. So it's gonna be fun seeing how much attention does the bot side get. Not only bot lane, but mid lane as well. It's the lane that you also need to have control so that you can have easier access to those objectives. So it's going to be interesting seeing how well can they keep this out. The support, the AD carry position we were talking about, two bans, Ezreal and Saya, the ones that can be a little bit safer in terms of not only range, but also running away from the Caitlyn traps. I think it's a smart choice here, and it forces a champion that maybe doesn't have those easy escape tools against something like a Caitlyn or the Nautilus. The Jhin, it's not the champion that I was expecting to see, but he does synergize quite a bit with the Cillian with the double bomb setup into the movement speed boost as well. So I feel like not a bad option, but it can die quite easily if he gets hooked or if he gets just CC'd.
Yeah, Jin gonna be moving this game, gonna be zooming around the map, really. Ooh, a Cassiopeia here would be an interesting lock, going to set up kind of double DPS in the mid lane. Gonna be the answer here to the Azir. Definitely,
Interesting.
once again, a similar styles to what we saw before as well. And the Malphite could lock in a big team fight comp here as well. I think that would make a lot of sense. But I think that all in all, Sun Leviathan going to have a very strong comp once again.
It's not the rock, it's the croc, it seems. Okay. I'm really glad that it's this and it's not the croc. He can go and be extinct for another 12 patches. I don't care about him. But Kled here, the champion that rides the dragon, as far as TFT goes, it's a pretty interesting champion because in this kind of game where you need some way to get to the backline with easy access, Malphite was looking like an okay option, but Kled provides that extra movement speed for maybe something like Nautilus to get easier access to the enemy champions. Or like the Lydia as well. So I'm not against the Kled here. I think that against Ornn, not necessarily a bad matchup, and also can really turn into something much more dangerous because if he gets ahead, the Jhin, the Azir, the Cillian can all die with the Kled alone. It's such an interesting champion to see, and I'm excited to see how he performs in game. Oh, and there's an Ornn as well, just in case.
Yeah, Ornn just a safe answer here to the Kled, not going to beat it down very hard in lane, but should be pretty effective in team fights. And Elysium really flipping the script this time around, going to try to outscale, trying to team fight pretty effectively here. And it'll be interesting to see if they can get some prio out of the bot lane, but they're kind of in some matchups where I would expect, Kled should be pushing into Ornn. I think that Cassiopeia should have at least some level of advantage early on against Azir. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get any priority anywhere on the map. This concern, though, was on the side of Sun last game, and they certainly didn't have any problems with that.
100%.
So we'll see if Elysium can show the same level of prowess on the team's fight scaling comp here.
And I think that's an interesting point, or at least a pretty important point to bring as well with Elysium. The fact that now they have more leeway or more backs to turn into when the game goes iffy, because they have the Asir, they have the Ornn, they have the Shyvana, that is not a bad late game kind of champion. And Cillian as well becomes a secondary mage with the longer the game goes. Like as long as he gets two items, he can become a secondary mage as well. So can be a pretty nice champion to fall into if you are worrying about dying consistently or something like that. I like this Elysium combo a little bit more. The only thing that I'm worrying about is that if the Jhin dies, if Shyvana is not going straight up damage, I think that they may be lacking on the damage department, on the 80 damage department particularly. So it's something to see how Elysium can perform with that and how much will that affect them in game.
Yeah, I want to see a force of nature Lillia so that we just get even more speed. These champions just need to line up and have a foot race. There's just gonna be so much speed in this game going around the map. I'm loving it.
We're just missing the Rammus. It's just Rammus, Hecarim, and then we could actually have a full-on race to see who's the fastest champion on the Rift.
Yeah, absolutely. But looking at this time around, I think that Elysium have made some good changes, but do you think it will be enough to turn the tide of the series and get it back to even?
So their champions do have the possibility to do that. I think that they played with right ideas in the previous game. Maybe the biggest thing that I'm in disagreement with what they did was not giving more to the set to try and carry the game, or at least not trying to make the set do something else apart from just sitting in lane. But I like the early ganks. I like the attention that the bot lane had, and as long as they don't face a big enough deficit, I think that they have tools to try and play out the game. So I'm feeling much more relaxed coming into this game than I was in the previous game for Audition.
Yeah, I definitely could also see a world, though, where Sun are just coming out strong, picking up right where they left off in game number 1, and especially if Spies is able to follow up on that jungle tracking that we saw last game, then it could be very difficult for any advantages to develop whatsoever. for Elysium Rush. So, any final thoughts before we go into break, TDS?
I'm excited to see how this game goes. I hope that we get a lot of kills as well. And I'm a Cassiopeia fanboy, so I hope that the Cassiopeia does well as well.
All right. Definitely another few cool champs that we're seeing in the Cassiopeia, the Kled, the Lilia,
True.
the Zillion, and Shyvana. We've seen a lot of good picks throughout this series, and hopefully we can continue to see them played out well by the players. But we're going to go into a short break, and on the other side, we'll have game number 2 of Sun Leviathan versus Elysium Rush.
You're the rain on my happy days. Dark cloud, you're the storm in the rain. An intoxicated storm, if the sunshine let me know. All my thoughts move in the darkness of pouring downpour of a storm. My soul is. Should I pretend like we're just dancing in the sunlight? Now I'm done waiting, and every day until I realize you're the rain on my happy days. Dark cloud, you're the storm in the rain.
but we'll see if Book of Eli is going to be hampered by that lack of flash.
It's going to be hard to call to say really. We have to look a little bit onto the mid lane. How much can the Cassiopeia get onto Book of Eli to really set how tempering is going to be the lack of flash? So I'm going to wait a little bit longer before I can I'll call it out or not. But the rest of the lane so far looking pretty normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the level 2 is going to be pretty important here in the bot lane. This is a bot lane matchup where you could definitely see some kills coming through. A double bomb into root landing would be pretty good for Elysium, but on the other side, with that Hex Flash, Cowrie's looking to engage. I'm going to try to find the hook and forcing out the flash from Creatine. That's already 2 flashes.
Oh, Macrobase, you messed up!
He's probably very low, going to get hit with the Ignite ticking down. Ilulek picks up the first blood.
Macrobase with a pretty big mistake. Not really the fact that he took the bomb, but the reason why he takes the bomb. I think the play from Kiori was so smart, but Macrobase kept moving forward, trying to threaten the Jhin, and instead of threatening him, took way too much damage, ends up getting punished, and what was looking so promising for the side of Sun turns into complete nightmares for Macrobase. Big mistake.
Yeah. Now an all-in potentially from Malachor finding the double joust. Not going to be able to finish off the kill, but Malachor putting down some pressure in this matchup. Otter opted into the Ornn versus Kled, but we'll see if Malachor can start looking to pick up some solo kills.
Yeah, or we have to be careful about Ornn, right? Because whenever you think that he's doing badly, from out of nowhere he pulls off a solo kill. So you have to take into account those things. Ooh, I don't think it's
trying
enough.
to flash all in Ignite, not going to be enough to finish the job. Spies here as well, though. Reggie pretty low. We'll see if a dive is potentially
I
available.
think they could dive.
Yeah, not enough on the bar here for Malachor, though. It looks like the shotgun blast going to connect. If Spies can land a bowling ball, that could be enough dot to kill. Not going to be... I don't think it'll kill alone, but Otter's going to be
They
in a
could get
really
double
dangerous
here.
position. Yeah, looking at potentially a double. Going to force out the teleport coming from Book of Eli. I think that should be enough to save the team.
And if I'm honest, I feel like Spice could have helped the Kled push out the wave so that this play is much more forceful. Like, you have to make the Ornn pay the price. And I think that could have been better executed. At the end, though, it does force a teleport and also a huge wave of minions being missed out in mid lane. Could be quite a good punish not only onto the Asir, but also benefit for this Cassiopeia.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, it's a wave that's got a cannon minion in it, so I think it's only going to be about 2 or 3 minions lost. I'm not sure exactly the numbers. Kopek does have a decent CS lead in that mid lane, but I think that that's all in all not the worst situation for Elysium to come out of that with, especially given the situation where they were just about to get dove for a double kill.
Really the case here. But now that that the game has come back into a spot where not much action is going on, it seems like it's setting up for a potential dragon as soon as it spawns. With 3 members down on the bot side, they have the push of the bot lane, so they can try and be aggressive here. And the Lydia is trying to hover here, but I'm not sure if they are going to actually try and contest. Oh,
Yeah, that would be hard without Prio mid. Malachor once again looking to threaten Otter.
macro base.
Is going to come through, but Macrobeast going to be
He's
forced
dead.
to flash. Flash follow from Reggie. The bomb going to tick down, and the stun connects. It's going to be another kill going over to Elysium. Once again, Malachor trading in the top lane. You can never tell whether these all-ins are going to work, but now Cowrie going to be forced to flash away. Another nice snare coming out from Creatine, and now the bomb is on, and Ilulek picked up the second kill. Spy's now trying to turn it back around. Reggie pretty low here to Drake. Could be a smite fight as well. Book of Eli going to be over the wall, going to try to put down some damage onto Kopek, and now the smite does come through. Elysium going to pick that one up, and now it's 2-0 plus a Drake in that fight for Elysium. They're able to make it work.
Really bad decision making from Son, and it's all honesty. I don't want to hamper too much, but it's all honestly on macro based. It's mispositioning, bad decision making, and at the end, it's what cost him not only the dragon but the 2 kills. Macro based is playing Caitlyn. You cannot walk like that without having either a lead or someone to protect you, and it's just such an easy punishment coming in from the side of Elysium, playing really nice in this game. The only good thing for Sun so far is the fact that the Kled is so far ahead of the Ornn.
Yeah, I got about a 10 CS lead. Got about the same lead in the mid lane as well. We'll see if Malachor is able to continue bullying Otter off of these waves. The experience advantage, I think, is the really big part there.
Yeah.
Not going to be level 6 yet for Otter. And now with
Ooh.
that level 6 charging in is Malachor. Spy's here as well. Otter going to burn down. Ignite ticks away. Spy's going to clean that one up with the bowling ball. And that means that it is the first kill on the board of game number 2 for Sun Leviathan.
They don't have the Herald to try and force the play out much more to try and get more plates, but it's a pretty good collection. Oh,
Well, stepping on a trap is a dangerous gambit here from Ilulek. Gonna have to use everything to get out. Not level 6 yet, so a dangerous play, but not quite enough damage available after having a couple early deaths for Macro Beast.
surprised that Maccabees didn't use the ghost there. Oh, Curry really wants this.
Yeah, playing the Nautilus really on the edge. I think that it's the right level of aggression, but it just hasn't worked out just yet.
True. May end up turning into a kill if he keeps this up, right? And it's not like he has been punished so aggressively that he doesn't or he cannot force this kind of aggressiveness. This push now, Shyvana trying to come in to make a play happen, but I like that with the push they don't overcommit just in case.
Yeah, now gonna look to get a little bit of vision on the invade. Gonna find out where Reggie is here, so that means that they should know what sides of the map.
Oh.
But Creatine looking to go all in on Macro Beast. No flash available. Sidesteps the snare. Now Cowrie going to get tagged with the double bomb, stunned up. Pretty tanky on the Nautilus.
There is level 6.
But
Yep.
here comes the curtain call. There's one. Cowrie's going to be able to step out of it, but the damage so high coming out from Creatine, and that's another kill. Perfect KP for the Jhin, and looking very strong in the bot lane here is Elysium Rush.
That level 1 mistake really has punished so heavily the bot lane from Son. It really hampered on that one mistake to make this lane unplayable. And maybe it's a pretty good comparison to what could have happened in the previous game if Son was punished with that first gank that they got, that they were able to get a triple kill on. Instead of the triple kill, if it was a kill favoring the side of Elysium, it could have been much better.
Yeah, and they're not even able to pick up the Rift Herald on the side of Sun. They tried to start it up, but the vision was good from Elysium to be able to rotate Reggie on over, and no one going to be able to pick it up for the time being. Cowrie rotating up once again, going to maybe look at trying to pick it up anyways. But this situation, this time around, it's much more even than we ever saw in game number 1.
It really is. It's just 300 gold of advantage for Elysium, but it's much better than how it was going early on in the previous game. I like, by the way, that the side of Sun is trying to hover the Herald because I think that they need this huge surge of gold to go into the pockets of the Kled. They need this Kled to get as much gold as possible because that so far seems to be one of their main win conditions. Oh, Kopek, no.
Engage on the Kopek, gonna try to be turned around, but the double bomb,
It's such a
double
good
stun.
double
Now
bomb.
the charge coming in, Malachor gonna try and blow up Ilulek. Ilulek still having that Chrono Shift available. Gonna use it on Reggie, but that means Ilulek can be killed. Now Malachor going to be able to find a second kill. It's all 5 members here, both sides. Otter going to be stunned up for the time being. A very tanky Ornn, but can you take the damage from 4 members? Malachor gonna put down those vicious strikes, but Otter able to take one before getting finished off. Still going to be a 3-for-1 in favor of Sun Leviathan.
Caitlyn, you're backing in a ward. She's dead. Microbase.
Oh, nice flash, turn. Curtain call going to be popped. Book of Eli going to fall here. Nice dodge on the fourth shot. Cowrie with the body block, and Spy's flashing over the wall. Going to try to finish off Creatine. Doesn't have the Lilting Lullaby available. A nice double bomb. Ilulek has been on point with those. Reggie now going to re-enter the fight, and this fight's gone on long enough that the respawns come through. People back onto the map dying once again already, but overall, I believe a 4-for-2 in favor of Sun Leviathan, plus the Rift Herald.
plus Referral, but it's going to get answered here with Dragon. It's funnily enough, I think, much more advantageous for the side of Sun. Not only the gold is showcasing that, but the fact is that Microbase was able to get 2 kills in that play overall. So not a bad trade for the Caitlyn that was doing really bad down during the bot lane. And the Kled as well was able to get a kill. Yes, he was killed in the process, but he was still controlling the top side anyway. So it's not like dying there really changed a lot of how the situation was going to keep on going up there.
Yeah, I really like how Malachor has been embracing the Kled mantra of never retreating and just going deep under the towers, picking up those kills. I'm loving what I'm seeing here on this Kled play. But all around, once again, we're still pretty even. A little bit of advantage here. And with the Rift Herald, I think the gold could expand in favor of Sun Leviathan. But we're playing on narrow margins for these fights.
It's really a small margin in terms of how much can they get or how much can they do to make up or break up a fight in favor of a fighter team. So it's really fun seeing how effective can they try and make a play happen. Interestingly enough, both junglers hovering opposite sides of the map, they want to try and get something going. Oh,
Yeah, we got some aggression. Spies should be able to find Otter here, but Otter
Otter.
trying to find the counter kill, not going to be fast enough. And
Macro
now the
resistance as
counter
well.
gank on the bottom side. Macro Beast not going to be taken along with the Dragon Fall, but the damage is down and the shutdown goes over to Creatine 1-for-1 across the map.
And these are those situations where when you know that your jungler is pulling off a play on the top side, there's no reason for you to be pushing so aggressively in the bot side. He was walking way too far forward for a play that really has no you have no say in and gets punished there. Macrobase really well done by Reggie. I love the creative pathing that the Shyvana opted in there because it was going towards that bush and then waiting for the killing to miss position, and it nets them a kill. But this huge surge of gold is much more beneficial for Sun. Oh,
Yeah, now trying to engage onto Malachor, but Spies is still here. Malachor can't get the remount, though. Otter
told
able to
you.
pick up the shutdown. Lilting Lullaby going to go down. Otter dropping very low here, burning down to the Leandries. Now cross map going to be another play. Spies going to pick up that kill. Going to be traded back, though.
It's not worth.
For one for Otter, and then on the other side of the map, a kill onto Cowrie means that it's going to be 3-for-1 in favor of Elysium Rush.
Such a big mistake once again by Sun. Oh, not again.
We may
They
not
have-
be done here just
they
yet.
have
The root's
Cillian
gonna
ult.
go down. Reggie going to pick up that kill, a clean dive, and we're right back to dead even on the gold.
If they, I think that dying on the bot side, okay, it can happen, and you can make that mistake, but it's fine if you're answering. But the mistake that Malachor and Spice are doing on the top side, you cannot die like that. Ornn is not worth it. That kill is never worth it. This kill though, maybe.
The fighting never stops. Ilelec
Yeah.
no ult. Malachor going to be able to pick up one there. We'll see if
The Jhin
there's
is fine,
any more
though.
follow-up. Yeah, Jin's fine. So they're going to be able to push out these waves. Next Drake's still only 2 minutes away, so I don't think that there's going to be much follow-up here across the map. Just that one kill going over.
There really shouldn't be anything else. The Caitlyn now hovering mid lane. The Ornn is still pushing along on the top side. It could even have some time to maybe threaten the top lane turret, but I don't expect anything to happen over there. And as it concerns for Elysium, the Jhin is in such a perfect spot that you really aren't worried about anything. Has the item over the Caitlyn. He essentially has one item over the Caitlyn because of the seal completed as well. And as long as he doesn't die, he can actually do so much for his team. Oh.
Nice bear trap on a rope from Malachor, going to force out the Dragon Fall, but a root on the other side. Nice flash from Cowrie, going to be able to avoid the Emperor's Divide. Reggie's still looking to follow up further, but I think that's going to be the clean escape. And getting out with relatively unscathed, just a couple of flashes going to be forced there.
The Ornn is just doing so much damage to scaling. Macro is in such a bad spot this game. He really cannot do that much as of now.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous to get in range of doing damage. Even with Caitlyn's long range, there's a lot of mobility on the map here. So trying to do the best he can, though. Macro Beast getting on close to that first item. Gale Force now complete. I think that's just about everyone getting first items. And I do want to talk about this Shyvana build because it looks like it's going to be Frostfire into potentially this AP direction with that blasting one picked up.
I think it's Frostfire into Mask of Madness. Mask, no, what is it called? Demonic Embrace. It's Frostfire into Demonic Embrace, which amplifies your AP damage when you're in Dragon form, but it also allows you to stick easily towards targets. And I think that that's what the Shyvana will try to play off with. First, to Dragon, the Seer is in a pretty good spot, though. He can actually get an angle for Shurima Shuffle if he wants to.
The death rush. Now Malakor diving the backline, gonna be able to force the res out of the Jhin, but Ilalek gonna fall. Creatine gonna try to flash away. Cleanse coming through. Malakor diving the backline. One trade back the other way and trying to force the fight through the river. It's 2 for 2 so far. Reggie gonna fall as well. Otter with the 3-man knock up. Searing charge for days. Malakor, the last man standing, gonna have to turn tail. Gonna try to get the vicious strike. Remount seconds too late, and Otter picks up the double kill. A 5 for 3 as Elysium Rush claimed the fight.
And this is the thing with Ornn. It doesn't matter if he's behind. It doesn't matter if he's useless for the first 10 minutes. He can win you the game because he's a tank. He doesn't care about gold. He just cares about being able to add value to the team. And the 3-man knockout carries the fight at the end. This Cillian as well is such a big issue to try and deal with because he just revives the Jhin. You commit so much for the Jhin, he revives. You cannot turn around the fight, and it's just so hard for Sun in so many of these situations, especially adding on to that your killing cannot deal damage. It's a hard issue to try and deal with. They have tools, but this game is becoming better and better for the side of Elysium.
Yeah, Elysium now up some gold and on Soul Point. The 3 Drakes stacked immediately. Heaven for Shyvana, but it's going to make it very difficult for Sun Leviathan as the game continues. They're going to have to deal with a lot of pressure on the map towards that bomb side. They have to respond now. Cloud Soul, not the strongest of all souls, but with all the speed in this game, I feel like both of these sides would love to have it.
Also, the extra cooldown for some of these ultimates can be really valuable. Or an ulti, Cillian ulti late game can be in a 20-second or 25-second cooldown. That is a pretty big thing to have in teamfights. So you have to take into account these things, especially with when you think about the Cloud Dragon or the Cloud Soul. So not minor when you think about it.
Yeah, all the souls are good. You don't catch me saying that the souls are completely worthless. I
am on that side, though.
Fortunate not to be a Hex Tech soul anyways. But now we're seeing Reggie potentially going to get caught here. A lot of teams in the area, though. The double bombs onto Cowrie going to drop him to about half. Now here comes the continuation of the engage. Reggie going to pick up that kill. Malakor going to be able to walk this one out. It looks like Spy's going to be in the area as well. No turn to be seen, and Baron coming up in 30 seconds. We'll see how much control over the river Elysium Rush can gain.
Luckily, it's not yet Baron. I could have seen the side of Elysium trying to rush down the Baron as soon as he spawns. Oh, Malakor
running into the jungle. Gonna have to charge his way out of this one. But with no Shyvana ult, this is a window where you can actually get a decent fight off if you're Sun. They have the numbers here as well. They can try to turn this onto Otter, but they're going to need a ton of DPS. Malakor dropping very low at the beginning of this fight. It's going to become a 5v5 once again. Double bomb not going to connect for the stun, but it will buy enough space for Elysium to back out of this one.
And in all honesty, I think Sun should never try and force that fight to happen. Like, it's hampering on a dead horse, but Caitlyn has no damage. Your Cassiopeia still has only 1 item. Kled was completely low. You cannot force that out. Oh, Spy is wide. Has to flash.
Yeah, and now Baron is up, so anytime that you risk another fight, you are risking giving over that Baron power play. Spy's playing that red buff. That's kind of nice. But now Kopek could be in trouble. Gonna try to turn it around, but a nice vision dodge to avoid getting hit with the stun. Reggie gonna be able to kill off Kopek. There's fighting right and left. Creatine going to get that chrono shift. Not gonna fall just yet, but will be pushed out of the fight. The burn not going to be enough either. So it's a 1-for-0 in favor of Elysium Rush.
And you really have to understand, like, know the fights that you can take. You cannot take that fight as a Cassiopeia. You're dead meat after that point. You already did your damage, run away. You have no more extra value to add. It's this is small things that, comparatively to the previous game, right? Sun were punishing the side of Elysium with these small things. Now it's Elysium that it's punishing the small things from Sun, and it's not allowing for them to really get anything going. And I think that Sun needs to stop, realize what they can do and what they can't, and stop trying to fight for the sake of fighting. It's not going to pay out for them.
Yeah, I do have a hard time arguing with Kopech trying to go for that play, though, because if it wasn't for a perfect wiggle, as now we're seeing engage top lane,
Oh.
it could turn into something, but probably won't. Otter going to be able to get out of it with the Bellows Breath.
Oh, he
But
got
I'm
baited back
here, so
in.
this will turn into a fight. It looks like Otter dropping pretty low. Malachor now looking to turn on to Reggie. Reggie looking for the dragon.
Shyvana can
Next now for a
1v2.
killing spree. Malachor now in trouble. Gonna try to get back, but a flash over the wall from Kopech sets up the petrifying gaze. Turns one back around. Big shutdown onto Reggie. Wasn't able to get the shutdown last time, but this time it does come, and now they're looking to take this tier 2 top tower.
That is a pretty good kill that they are able to get back. The Shyvana is really looking strong and scary, and being able to get something back quite good. I think that that could have been more if not for the heroes that are the rocks able to block out the on. But with this kill, can they get quick enough to get this dragon? Lilia in 4, I think actually they lose this out. They lose out on this.
Yeah, and if that is
They
the
cannot
case,
fight it.
then the immediate 4-stack soul with the Shyvana is going to be a ton of value here. Macro Beast going to be over this wall. Kopech trying to get into
Oh.
the area. Teleport's coming in. There is no smite in the pit. Now Malachor going to be doing so much damage. And now Kopech doing the DPS as well. Otter
Otter is
going
dead.
to be falling. Kopech has 2 items. Doing so much work, and now the cloud is going to be taken here by Sun Leviathan. They're able to turn the tide, they're able to stop the stack, and now they're going to be in position where they're looking to equalize the gold with the Rift Herald charge.
They can get this turret, they can try and be a little bit more aggressive if they really, really want to. Forcing out the Gale Force Saving, I think they could look for a play here. Okay, they just pushed it. I like this. They respect it, they push the Herald, and they are not going to overcommit. But this is the kind of fight that, for the side of Elysium, certainly cannot happen, where the rest of the team is separated. Otter will die to this Cassiopeia. He has no magic, well, he has some, but he doesn't have a huge amount of magic resist, and the Cassiopeia deals so much consistent damage to you with that points of Micro Beast. Oh no.
Macro Beast in trouble once again. Reggie jumping on. And Reggie just bullying Macro Beast today. 7-3 and 8 on the Shyvana. Feeling like a really good spot to be in. And is this
Could this
enough
be
pressure
Baron?
to put on Baron? No
Okay,
teleport
so-
for Book of Eli, though.
Yeah, that's the good part, right? The fact that the seer doesn't have TP means that there's not a lot of chances for this Baron to happen, because a seer is a huge part of your Baron damage. So if you try to go for this Baron in this position, it will take a lot of time, and the answer can come in from the side of Sun.
Yeah, and I think that the Azir is probably a big reason why we saw that dragon started up as well.
Yeah,
They got
it
pretty
was.
close to just shredding it before anyone from Sun could show up. But if this was before the dragon update, which gave them so much more health, I think that just actually does get shredded before anyone can show up. But fortunately for Sun Leviathan, the dragons are tanky enough to survive a little while longer, even against an Azir now.
Really interesting decision here to use this. But yeah, the dragons are something to take into account in terms of how quick can you take them, how easily can you take them, and how much do you need the smite for. In a comp like this, where your main DPS for these objectives is a seer, if he takes too long, you certainly cannot take it without a smite. And I think that's a lesson that now Elysium will utilize for future objectives, because they know that they won't be able to take it as quickly as possible if there's no smite there.
This is a beautiful ward in the river from Cowrie, right next to that dragon.
It's not a common one either.
Baron pit. It doesn't get swept, and it can't be seen by the pink ward in the pit. So that one's going to be giving vision, and there's no way that Elysium know that. So they think that they have threat on this Baron, but they're going to be spotted out as soon as they start it up.
And they started immediately. There is the bowling ball from the Lilia, so shoot it. Oh, he doesn't hit, but they know this now.
Malachor has ult. We'll see if he can get here in time. Now
Oh,
with the
Kopek.
ward coming in the pit, Kopek going to be able to find a nice
dead.
petrifying gauge, but the knockup comes through, and that means that it's a pick already given over to Elysium Rush. Can you contest without your DPS? I think
They commit too much, though.
Looks
The
like
Lilia, we need to look at the Lilia here.
dropping at a moderate pace, but here comes the engage. Spy's going to try to get into the back line. Otter tanking it up pretty well. A nice Emperor's Divide comes out from both
Lilia is dead.
Solo shift going to save his life, but now the DPS can macro beat save the fight. Spy's in the back line going to be able to take out Isla. Like so much damage from the Lilia. Book of Eli going to get hit by the ace in the hole. Can the Krugs finish the job? A nice smite from Reggie going to save the life, but the fight is turned, and it's a 4-for-2 overall in favor of Sun Leviathan.
I respect that they don't take it, but I think that they had an opportunity just because the Cassiopeia spawns. But looking at how the fight went, there's a couple of things to take into account. First of all, the fact that they committed so much for the Cassiopeia at the start. It was Ornn ultimate. It was, if I'm not wrong, the Shyvana Dragon form was about to time out as well. And they utilized a lot of things to try and get this Cassiopeia dead. When the Cassiopeia dies, it's a huge loss, but it also prompts them into thinking that, into bringing a false sense of security. They are now forced into a fight that they don't want, and crucially in that fight, Elysium is forced to utilize the Cillian ultimate onto the Azir. So as soon as the Azir ultimate, the Cillian ultimate is down on them, they can commit much heavily onto other targets, they get the kill, and it turns better for Sun.
Well, with Drake coming up here in 20 seconds, this is going to be another contest over
It's a
Soul.
fight to the death.
And 5-man push through mid, it looks like, is the call from Elysium Rush. They should be able to get that advantage there. We'll see if Malachor can get a good flank. Reggie going to try to start the damage onto Kopek. Not going to be able to find anything. Nice side steps. With that Cloud Rift, it's just so hard to land any skill shots on anyone.
It really
Kopek
feels like that.
Some nice footwork there, but now can we get a good pincer? Malachor on the flank is spotted out by that control ward, but now can Elysium regain control of this river? It looks like Sun Leviathan are pushing them out, and it looks like they're confident enough.
They're
to
starting it.
start this one up.
They decide to start the dragon themselves. They do have quite a bit of damage, but that is a lot that Carry takes. Oh, I think they actually can rush it. Yeah, they decide to leave it up.
Given here. Otter gonna try to find the call of the Forge God, not going to get two knockups, I should say. And now it's a good petrifying gaze from Kopek. Damage starting to come out. The curtain call is not enough. Malachor is on the back line, and Sun Leviathan are going to sweep up this fight. Creatine going to try to trade one back, but it's not going to happen. Cowrie just needs to find this hook, needs to find this auto for the root. Macro Beast over the wall, going to get dropped pretty low, but a nice 90 caliber net, and is finding the spacing. A triple for Spies, a 5-for-0 clean ace, and onto the Baron goes Sun Leviathan.
And finally, they find the team fight that they really, really wanted to. The previous one was a pretty contested fight. They still had to work for it. But this time around, they have the setup. They are first to the objective. They don't secure the objective with the smite, but they are able to force the side of Elysium into a pretty bad situation. And here is where the Kled really shines, because when they separate targets, when the Kled is able to get the Jhin on one side, to kill the Jhin, the Cillian, and the other members by himself, and then the Cassiopeia and the Killing can take their time to deal with the Shyvana and the Ornn, that's where the team fighting from Sun can shine, and that's precisely what we see here. Also, I want to give a shout out to Spice, really good sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. With the Lilting Lullaby, setting up the beginning of that fight and avoiding the curtain call, finishing off with the fourth shots. But now I feel like this game has been hanging in the balance for the longest time, but finally a decisive gold lead has been gained by Sun Leviathan. They're in position where they really have control of the game now. It's just a very difficult situation to actually finish up this soul now that two Drakes have gone over. And at this point, we're once again at the position where we need a lot of picks from Elysium if they're going to get back into this game.
They are looking for that first one, like you're calling, like you're asking for, trying to get this Cassiopeia. I like the decision making because Cassiopeia without Flash is close to a sitting duck. She has the ghost, so maybe she can escape. But I'm not against the idea of going for the pick. This does open though the base, and Caitlyn is one of those champions that can threaten the turret really easily. Oh,
Lovely hook from Cowrie going to force Reggie to Dragon Fall backwards. Call of the Forge God going to come through, but the curtain call didn't land any
oh,
damage. Reggie dropping very low. Malachor onto the back line once again going to force out that Chrono Shift on Book of Eli. Otter going to be the next target here, taking the damage, and it looks like Sun Leviathan are in position to finish the job. They've got the Baron up minions in the base. They're taking these inhibitors down really quickly. They're looking to go on towards the Nexus Towers, and Macro Beast finally able to play the game, finally able to hit those auto attacks. Spy's tanking up the tower. It's not going to matter though. Book of Eli in the base. Gonna be damaged very low. Cowrie will fall, but it will not matter as Sun Leviathan take the series 2-0.
they take it to Macrobist. Must have waited so long for that moment to finally be able to be an 80 carry. But, oh, well, actually, it is in the 80 carry role to die endlessly, but it's also to deal damage. And it must have been really sweet to finally do that. But really liked how Sun finally opted in the second half of this game. I think the first 20 minutes controlled by the side of Elysium really well. They got the elites, they got the objectives, they did what they wanted to. But the later the game went, I think Sun had the better understanding of what they wanted to do, and then were able to finally deliver on what they needed to. Really good game from Malachor, even though the damage doesn't represent it, did such a good role in controlling the silent and controlling team fights, creating the chaos that they needed. And to me, at least, both games performed superb.
Yeah, you could really tell though that this was a matchup of two of the top teams in the league because
Yep.
both sides I think played really well, especially here in game number 2. And what I really liked that I saw from Sun Leviathan here is that they showed that they can carry out of multiple roles. They can carry pretty much top to bottom from top lane to bot lane, I should say. Malachor, Spies, Kopek, and Macro Beast all having strong moments throughout this game. But who would you say is looking like the player of the series, TDS?
I always like to give it to the mid laners, but this time I'm going to go for the top lane. Malachor to me performed amazingly. Like he really was a rock, but he also carried when it needed to. And that second game, Kled, was game deciding.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Kled was the start of all of the picks that kind of kept the game even throughout the mid game and then became the victory march at the end of the game. But if I were to name a player of the series, I would probably have to go with Spies. Just a
Okay,
very strong carry performance on the Diana in game
it's
1,
fair.
and almost an equally strong performance on the Lilia in game number 2. Took a little bit longer to get online there. Didn't get a triple kill at level 4,
It did.
but definitely a very good series from Sun Leviathan. But any final thoughts for? Do we have an interview coming up? I'm not sure what the protocol is here.
And we do.
All right, we got an interview. It looks like it's going to be Spies joining us here right quick. Welcome, Spies, and congratulations on the victory.
Yo, what's up? And thank you.
Fully deserved. I think played amazingly tonight. Had a pretty good amount of good plays. I think there were a couple that were maybe questionable, like dying in top lane. I think twice without actually needing to. But apart from that, really great game
Yeah.
and really great series.
Yeah, we just like to say worth when that happens, and at the end of the day, it is when we win. So
True.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about, especially through game number 1, but in both games, really, it looked like you had a really good idea for the majority of the time where Reggie was going to show up, and you were able to answer. What was it that helped you track him so well?
to be honest, we aren't tracking him. It just kind of happens. Yeah. I mean,
respectable
you should hear
answer.
our I mean, it's our comms are awful. First of all, I mean, they're just awful. You should talk to Macro Beast. I mean, if you've ever heard Macro Beast in a channel, it is just the worst thing ever. So yeah, props to him for just making it the most unbearable experience.
Well, maybe we'll
Great.
have to chalk it up to some spidey senses then of just showing up where you needed to be at the right time. But
I'm
go ahead, TDS.
Yeah, because I'm kind of glad that he talked about Macrobase because it leads me to ask, with how bad the game was going for Macrobase in the second game, how was the team trying to keep him in game and not just completely boom out?
Think about Macro Beast is he never booms out. You
Okay,
gotta get that. Yeah. So he's just the greatest mental, but he is just so annoying. I mean, he is just always annoying. He never lets off. So yeah, it is unbearable playing with him.
but at least he doesn't give up. So
That is, yeah, I'd rather have him than somebody who mental booms. So that is a plus.
Well, going into the last week of the season, I think that you're going to be in sole control of that number one spot. Looking forward to playoffs. Which team are you looking forward to most potentially getting a best of five against?
Uh, I don't really know any of the teams. I was told that these guys were the best team by my teammates. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to anybody, to be honest. I mean, they're all pretty
okay,
awful.
convincing, confident. What else can you say about this guy?
I don't know, just a good jungle player, I guess. But any final thoughts for us that you would like to share before we head out, Spies?
Uh, nah, I think I'm good.
All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you to everyone who was watching this stream. A little bit of off of the normal ZGG official streams, but appreciate you showing up to support both of these teams here today. And I think that was a pretty fun series. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And other than that, I've been Tiger. I've been here with TDS, uh, giving you the scoop from the Sept, and they're advancing to 8-0 going into the last week of the season. So hopefully you'll get to tune in for some more Sept action going into playoffs. But that will do it for us on the stream tonight. And everyone out there, have a great evening.